All right, get those brain cells melted because it's time to talk about the age of exploration and colonization. So what we read on now doing this video is we read on now, start with the age of exploration, and then we read on now, move into colonization. So make sure you pay attention to all the different details that I go over. This is a lot of information, but I tried to make it as concise as possible. And if you want more information, I have additional resources available. Okay, let's get to it. The age of exploration was the period in the 5th, 10th, and 16th century where European powers began exploring and conquering the Western Hemisphere and some parts of Africa and Asia. Now, the reasons for this are complex, but let me give you the basic. Europeans wanted to find a faster route to Asia to get access to the riches of the East. But another reason why this occurred is because of the invention of new navigational tools like the and the compass, and also the development of new shipbuilding technology, which made it possible for these explorers to stay at sea for longer periods of time. Okay, so now let's look at some of the explorers and what they did. First up, we have Christopher Columbus, who in 1492 reached the Americas, but he actually died, believing that he was in India. Then we have Amerigo Vespucci, who was the first European to circumnavigate the globe, and he realized that this was not India. It was actually a new continent. In fact, the continent of South America is named after him. Then we have Ferdinand Magellan, who also circumnavigated the globe, but he was killed in the Philippines, so he never saw the completion of his journey. Then we have Vasco da Gama, who was the first European to reach India by going around Africa, and this opened up the Indian Ocean trade routes to the Europeans. Then we have Francisco Pizarro, who conquered the Inca Empire in Peru. And we also have Hernán Cortés, who conquered the Aztec Empire in Mexico. Then we have Jacques Cartier, who explored Canada and claimed it for France. And we also have Samuel de Champlain, who continued Cartier's work and established French colonies in Canada. Okay, so now that we've gotten that information out of the way, let's talk about colonization. Colonization is when a powerful country takes control of a less powerful country and exploits its resources and people. And in order to understand how this worked during the age of exploration and colonization, there are 3 terms you need to know. The first term you need to know is encomienda, which was a system in which the Spanish crown granted a nobleman control of a certain amount of land, then the native population that lived there. The encomenderos, or the people who were granted this land, had to pay taxes to the crown, and they also had to provide the crown with a certain number of laborers for things like mining and agriculture. The second term you need to know is repartimiento, which was a system in which the Spanish divided the indigenous people into groups and forced them to work for the Spanish for a set amount of days each week. And finally, the third term you need to know is hacienda, which was a large estate or ranch that was used for farming or mining or both. All right, so now that you know the basics, let's talk about the Columbian Exchange. The Columbian Exchange was the transfer of plants, animals, diseases, and people between the Eastern and Western Hemisphere. So let us talk about how this had an impact on both the Old World and the New World. So here's the impact on the Old World. The Old World received new crops like tomatoes, potatoes, corn, and tobacco. They also got silver and gold from the Americas, and they also got new sources of wealth and power. However, the Old World sent diseases to the New World that devastated the indigenous populations, and they also brought enslaved Africans to the New World to work on the plantations. And then let's talk about the impact on the New World. The New World received horses, cattle, pigs, and chickens from the Old World. They also received manufactured goods and new technology. However, they didn't receive many of the beneficial things that the Old World received, because most of those things went to the Old World, while the biggest thing that the New World received was devastating, and that was disease. The indigenous populations were devastated by European diseases, and it is estimated that 90% of the population was wiped out by diseases like smallpox and measles. Okay, click right here to keep reviewing for Unit 3, and I'm glad we got to hang out for a few minutes, and I will catch you on the flip-flop. Hi, morale!